Untouchables enslaving us as they are on their way, Neil deGrasse Tyson yells out, confirming the most puzzling and appalling divulgence made by the traveler in the past 10 years. A divulgence that scientists were not the smallest bit prepared for. Since the pioneers sent back this disturbing data from space, the intellectual community has been unable to rest, and everyone is walking under a strained environment. Investigators, analysts, and engineers have been rushed from their stations to confront these baffling objects that the adventurer recently spotted. We don't have even the remotest clue where these strange articles are coming from or where they are going. Anyway, what we can't deny is that we have seen nothing like them before. What are these confounding things that were recently found by Pilgrim 1? Join us today as we explore these answers in Neil deGrasse Tyson's Pilgrim 1, which has recognized 500 dark articles passing by in space. For almost 50 years, Pilgrim 1 has been cruising through the streets of space, examining the profound domains that ground-based telescopes have been unable to see and uncovering revelations that leave us in shock. A consequence of the brilliance that flows in abundance at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, Voyager 1 has been the beacon to the obscure regions of intergalactic space. This engineering marvel has opened our eyes to the amazing phenomena that exist in our universe. In another development, Neil deGrasse Tyson has confirmed that the traveler has recognized 500 dark objects drifting tranquilly in space. This news came as a shock to mainstream scientists, shaking them as everyone started analyzing the information from Pioneer 1. Something unusual was brewing not too far off, and it was hard to solve this perplexing riddle that had baffled even the best analysts. Since Neil deGrasse Tyson confirmed this revelation, unique interpretations have been flying around, attempting to draw a clear picture to make sense of the mystery. If it had been another space device that sent this perplexing data, experts might have questioned the authenticity of the information. Anyway, it is Pilgrim 1 we are examining here, the space probe that has been cruising through space for almost 50 years now and has exceeded our expectations. Like a patient who beat an illness, Adventurer 1 has surpassed its expected lifespan of 3 years to spend over 45 years in space, making history with its discoveries. The most enchanting part about this remarkable story is that Wayfarer is telling it from an astoundingly far distance from Earth. The last time analysts checked, the space probe was 14.5 billion miles away from our planet, racing perpetually through space with no sign of slowing down anytime soon. Experts say the probe has been traveling at a rate several times the distance between the Earth and the Sun every year. This is one fact that experts have found hard to accept because typically one would expect the probe's speed to decline significantly, given the length of its journey. On closer inspection, it appears that Pioneer 1 is indeed an exception to this story, as it has once again proven with its latest revelations. It was just like any other day for scientists when Voyager 1 delivered news that left them beaming. Voyager 1 had stumbled upon some perplexing objects passing by in space. This discovery was spontaneous, which explains the initial confusion of astronomers when they analyzed the data, showing that about 500 dark objects had appeared out of nowhere. One moment, we had little insight into the existence of these objects. The next, scientists were racking their brains searching for a solution to this puzzle that nature had dropped in their laps. Experts were in a bind, and the issue could be traced back to one party, Traveler 1. Interestingly, scientists also knew that the solution to this mystery lay on the shoulders of the space probe. Initially, when news of this discovery broke out, a few scientists considered the possibility that it might have been a mistake. They thought the time of Adventurer 1 might have caused it to malfunction and thus send inaccurate data. If we were to follow this line of thought, it seems like a plausible explanation, given that Adventurer 1 was launched as far back as 1977, almost 50 years of active service for the benefit of humanity. One could guess that the probe's computers might have become exhausted and started to deteriorate, affecting their duties and sending low-quality data back to the ground crew. As compelling as this explanation sounds, scientists have advised that we should not stop there because it would undermine the integrity of the adventurer. Despite the harsh and unpredictable environment of space, Adventurer 1 has consistently provided valuable information about our universe. Contrary to the hasty assumptions of skeptics, The probe has maintained its longevity due to its dual redundant computer systems. Like its twin, Voyager 2, Wayfarer 1 was equipped with two sets of command subsystems: Flight Data Systems, FDS, and Attitude and Articulation Control Systems, ACS. This was the secret behind its resilience in navigating through space and making discoveries. The apparent redundancy paved the way for consistent transitions between systems and the ability to activate dormant computer parts, thus preserving their longevity. When designing Traveler 1, engineers back on Earth devised a plan to help the probe optimize its efficiency. This meant that the probe's instruments would need to rely on engineered logic. They were not taking any chances because they were constrained by time and power budget limitations. The electrical engineers decided that the instruments would need to be developed using simplified systems that relied on hardware logic. Therefore, Pilgrim's computer systems comprised 6 embedded computers arranged as a distributed system with 3 dual redundancy pairs. Having overcome this hurdle, scientists needed to tackle the next obstacle: maintaining the systems. This daunting task was addressed by creating a continuous power management plan. Here's where it gets a bit fascinating. Power management involves supporting the operational capabilities of the probe's computer systems. To be frank, this was a challenging task, given the limited power resources available on board the probe. It was like sending a tracker into the wilderness to hunt wild animals with just a handful of tools. Experts devised a strategy to navigate this issue by coming up with measures to conserve and enhance power usage on board the Wayfarer. A prime example of these power management measures was the selective shutdown of non-essential systems. Experts were forced to make this tough decision and used a systematic approach to identify and deactivate components or subsystems that were not critical to the probe's primary mission objectives. We see evidence of this when we take a closer look at heaters associated with specific instruments that had to be turned off. Initially, these heaters were meant to keep the instruments at specific temperatures so they would function optimally. Anyway, the story had to be re-examined, as turning them off significantly reduced power consumption on board the Voyager. This reduction in power use resulted in an extension of the probe's life expectancy, a win-win solution for everyone. Moreover, we must remember that the decision to shut down non-essential systems was not made lightly. It was a carefully planned move that required careful evaluation of the trade.